Hello, my welcome back to another Fire channel. I'm J Books Corner. Today we're going to be talking about 5-star predictions. Essentially, I filmed 5 different vlogs over the course of the year for 5-star predictions. And then literally this year, I went through and changed my entire life. Okay, I moved out, I got a car, and I got a job. Like, this is like a really, really good thing because I can't wait to sit down at the end of December and do my reflection video for January and my hopes for 2025. I'm really excited for all these things, but I changed like a lot of my life this year very drastically. Very dramatically, to the point where I'm like, it's a completely different life. It's a completely different place. It's a completely different life, which is absolutely like insane to me. That does mean YouTube kind of fell off. They're combining 5 vlogs into one. The way we're going to do this is that you have Central Me, who is in the future. Hi. Nice to meet you. And we're going to be flipping back to past Jacob. Now, I did post one of these already in full. That video has been since taken down and re-edited to become in this video when we jump to their individual vlogs. I'm first going to go over the 5 books, and there are going to be chapter times linked down below if you want to check out a certain book. Or if you've been patiently waiting for the rating, which is also fair, because I've been hiding them. They've been secret ratings. The 5 books that I chose for my 5-star predictions. So we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Attached at the Hip by Christina Rico. I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. Then we also have, I'm going to put it on the screen. It's going to be easier to put up. The Pairing by Case McQuestion, which is right there. I do own it. And then also, lastly, The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Schaefer. All of these authors I've given 5 stars previously. They all have, the only reason why they're on this list is because they are some of my all-time favorite authors. None of these I knew the concept of going into them. I didn't know the whole reasoning behind it. I didn't know what it was about, except one of them. 2 of them, actually I take that back. The Pairing, I had some sort of idea because I follow Case McQuestion and I literally read every post that she ever posts. And then Elliot Schaefer's The Brightness Between Us, the only thing I knew about that is that it's the sequel to Darkness Outside of Us. That being said, we're going to go ahead and start off strong, and we're going to jump into A Reappearance of Rachel Price, which I filmed back in May. This one we're reading today is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson is an author. I read 3 of her 4 novels, and then I also read a novella. I love her books. I have full vlogs talking about almost all of her books, and so I figured this is a great book to vlog for you. So I am doing that. Let me not touch that yet. Yeah, so the story itself, it follows our main character as she was left alone when she was like 2 or 3 with her mom disappearing. She never saw her mom again for 16 plus years. Now she's 18. She is 18 years old, and her dad has decided to do a documentary because he needs the money for other reasons that the family's going through it. The dad was accused of murder, but once was let go a year afterwards, and the mom has just now showed back up in their lives. A lot of the opening of this book is talking about the documentary process, her flirting with a guy, which I feel like has chemistry, but not a lot of chemistry. The characters so far feel a little bland, not a lot of pizzazz like I would say Pip had, or a few others. And I'm not trying to compare, but I'm also comparing in the head. This book will determine based on if it's a 4 or a 5 star based on the twists and things, because this isn't it's not the writing. The writing almost guarantees it a 4 because I love Holly Jackson's writing so much, and which is the reason why it's on this list. I will not lie. The rest of the book will teeter-totter between a 3. I couldn't imagine myself getting a lower than 3 unless I really hate some of the reveals, and maybe I could. I also couldn't and it's going to teeter-totter between a 3 and a 5. That's my opinion. I know for a fact it's not going to get anything probably less than a 3. It won't be because of the writing, and I could see myself probably still recommending it. Right now, I still recommend it. It could just be generic. I don't know. I'm excited, though, to be fair. I have a few theories on what's going on in book at the moment, so I'll let you know if any of them materialize. I really hope not. I really hope. Also, the main character, I'm not vibing with at all. It's looking like this book is more like a 3. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. I'm only 40% in, so could change. And coming up here with a 75% check-in. So we're relatively close to the end. The big reveals should start happening. They are not. The book is just becoming extremely repetitive. A lot of the same things just keep happening over and over again. And a part of me feels like maybe it's to throw me off. I have a few other theories that are bringing up. The halfway mark did hit an interesting turn, but not interesting enough to really warrant anything. I'd say it's the big first, not even really there is no twists, I guess. I have a feeling everything's being saved until the final reveal, and which I guess is more acquainted for a YA. The problem here is the idea of it feels much more adult. I feel like maybe Holly Jackson would have wrote this as an adult thriller, possibly maybe the main character coming back to this small town that her mom disappeared in for this documentary for her dad, and then she reappears, thrusting her back into her old life with maybe like flashbacks or something, would have been more interesting and more compelling to read from than what we actually got. Personally, like, I have a feeling it's gonna be like a 3, which is just so sad. It's not chaotic, it's not crazy. The main character is very stupid. She does a lot of stupid things, but she's also extremely unlikable. When Pip was doing stupid shit, I never once found Pip annoying. I never once found Pip to be destructive. I mean, I don't know, I take it back. I never once found, like, Pip was not, like, hard to read from. And I would declare, like, this character hard to read from. It's exhausting to read from her mindset and things, and it just isn't what I would want or expect from Holly Jackson, to be fair. This cover is gorgeous. It's so beautiful, and at this point in time, what's the point of it? You could have done something different. And I feel very, very, like, true to that. Because I feel like all the other covers, like, make a lot of sense towards, like, the actual, for Holly Jackson, of the book itself. What is this? Who needs this? I don't know. Either way. It's what got me to want to put it on this list for a 5-star. So, to be fair, it was the cover. Alright, that being said, it's not looking like it. I mean, the twists, like, the ending has to be, like, mind-boggling amazing for it to be bumping up to where I'm like, no, you just have to get through the book. It's worth it. It is worth it. At this point, I'm saying it's not worth it, and if you're about far I am and want to DNF it like I do, like, let's stop it, That's right. So I'll update you once I finish it. The goal is to finish it tomorrow. All right, let's chat, guys, because oh my god, it wasn't good. It wasn't horrible either, to be fair. The thing here is that it's very much Holly Jackson, right? And I would have to say towards the last little bit of this book, it did veer into true Holly Jackson territory. Crazy, like, explosive, twist after twist after twist. Also, like, weirdly similar, I would say, in ways to the later books of A Good Guy's Girl to Murder. I would say, I want to say it's the second. Maybe it's the third book. The second or third book. I really can't remember. I will mention, I think I might jump into slight spoilers. This is a relatively new release, so if you don't want any spoilers, I understand. I think it came out like a month or two ago. So it's not like super new, but it's relatively new enough. But I've talked about spoilers for almost every other Holly Jackson. I think every other Holly Jackson I've read on this channel. So I would like to mention some slight spoilers here before we jump into it. I feel like the conclusion wrapped up nicely. Nothing super bad. I feel like Holly Jackson knew exactly how to dot all the I's. She also explained it super well to make it very believable and understandable of how people could get away with the actions that are taking place. And I don't think it jumps the shark like I felt like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder did, even though I really enjoyed it when I jumped the shark. I do think it jumped something. I just don't think it was as big as a shark, is all I'll say. But it's also very simple. I think that's like one of the biggest surprising things. I was expecting like these like very like crazy twists, and I would say it's very, very simple. Keep those expectations kind of low for those big incomings. A lot of people are liking it though, so maybe it's just me who wasn't really shocked by them. I mean, I was shocked by them in a sense of like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming, or I did see it coming, but I didn't really know if they were going to go there. And then when they went there, I was like, oh my god, you went there, type of thing. But that was like the extent of my enjoyment of the twist, to be fair, which we're about to run through in case you're curious. You just want to talk spoilers and sit here with them. And more enjoyable in things, I just was really disappointed with it, to be fair. And like, I don't really know if like I gave Holly Jackson a true chance to be on this 5-star list, but I didn't really realize, I think I should have put Kept Funny Story by Emily Henry on this list instead, because it was not fair of me to put Holly Jackson on a 5-star prediction. I know that it is fair of me to put Emily Henry on a 5-star prediction list, just because the same reason like it's fair for me to put Stephen Graham Jones on a 5-star prediction, or Casey McQuestion, or Elliot Schaefer. Like, those people, I can understand why I'm putting to a test, like an above all test, Christina Rico, because those are authors that I feel really confident in that they can deliver a 5. And I'm not saying I'm not too confident in that Holly Jackson can't deliver a 5, because A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I think, was a 5-star or really, really close. Its prequel was also, that was a 5-star. That was a perfect book, in my opinion. Perfect, exactly what it needed to do. It delivered on every part. The sequel is to that, though. I didn't really know how she was going to handle like a novel. And I've not gotten around to reading 5 Strangers, even though I've owned it for a while now. And I think maybe I should have done that first and then read this. I was just so excited for this one because the cover, and the book never, ever lives up to that cover, in my opinion. That cover gave me such wildly oh gosh, this cover. I don't know, I think that's like a big part here. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into slight spoilers. By slight, I mean big spoilers. I'm going to talk about the twists. Because, yes, they were kind of shocking, but like I was expecting it to go bigger. Let me know if you think that like some of my theories, I don't know if I don't really remember them, to be honest with you. But some of them are like really outlandish, like crazy, like twisty thrillers. Do you think that me thinking that this is an adult thriller because it felt like more like an adult thriller than a YA thriller, and that YA thrillers just don't get super twisty? But then I think of like some really famous YA thrillers that like set the genre afire are getting adapted nowadays. Like the We Were Liars and things, where it was like super twisty. So I feel like YA thrillers can still pull off the big twists. I even really enjoyed, and maybe it was the layout of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but the initial twists for the first book I really enjoyed. And then it kind of just expanded, from there. This one, I guess that one was kind of simple too, so maybe that's my fault as well. Maybe this is just Holly Jackson. The twist is that she was kidnapped. Her mom, Rachel, was kidnapped. Her name is Belle, by the way. I finally fucking remembered her name. Her mom was kidnapped, and she was kept in a truck kind of thing in a great dump yard from her grandpa. Her dad basically told her grandpa, hey, you need to murder my wife. I'll go to the cops because he murdered his wife many years before, and I'll tell them everything he did. And so he went there to murder his wife, and he decided he couldn't do it, and so he locked her up instead and kept her there for 15 years. While she was there, she gave birth to another baby, which I thought was the case because of certain things that they were describing and stuff like that, and it happened to be that case, to be fair. And I still got cold chills. I was still like, oh my god, you really did it, because I wasn't really sure if they were going to do the whole baby thing. Her dad was fucking crazy. Her dad ends up dying, and a few other people end up dying. They end up living happily ever after is really what the answer is. And to be fair, when I say it like that, it sounds really stupid, but it does work really well, and it takes up like the last like 30% of the book is them trying to solve this problem. And to be fair, it took Holly Jackson 2 books to solve a problem like that. So, that being said, that is the reappearance of Rachel Price. Now we're going to jump into another person also in May. I read a few of these, I guess, quickly. And that is Attached at the Hip. This is Christina Ricco, which I also feel like I had a little bit of understanding about just because her vlogs get me through everything, which I'm sure I talk about in these clips. I don't remember. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into that, Jacob, describing to you what the book's about and how I feel about it. It's Attached to the Hip by Christina Ricco. This is the 3rd book in Christina Ricco's it's her newest release, okay? The first 2 books, the first book, Again But Better, I gave a 4.5 stars. The second book originally was initially a 4, now it's a 3.5, somewhere around there, because of the fact that there's some relationship stuff that makes me uncomfortable, and so I did lower that rating. This book follows our main character, Avi, as she is joining a Survivor spinoff, and you're attached to someone who is like 8 feet of rope or whatever, and they have to go through this competition together. The love story, there's some romantic stuff in it, and I'll talk more about the plot and things as the video progresses. I also like to mention the first clip that I talk about this book in. There is a noise in the background. I filmed it in the cafeteria area of where I work, because I was reading it and I wanted to give at least one update before we sat down, and so I did want to mention that. Also, the final clip, half that clip is where we talk. I will tell you when spoilers do happen and when to sign off if you've not read the book yet about this book that I couldn't talk about in a non-spoilerly fashion. Hello 5-star prediction vlog. I'm simply coming in here to start this video because we have started our next book, and that is Attached to the Hip by Christina Ricco. Attached to the Hip is the 3rd one. It came out today, the day I'm filming this, and I pre-ordered it. I'm reading it as we speak. Not as we speak, but I've been reading it all day. It's officially about halfway through it, so I can tell you a basic premise, and then I'll probably come in and do like a real wrap-up of it when I get done with it, is my best guess, because it's a 50% check-in, and I'd rather talk to you guys about the whole thing, because it really is more like an experiment to figure out if I like it or not. Right now, it's varying between a 3 and a 5. It really just depends on how the rest of the story progresses, and if it's super formulaic, and that type of thing. So let's talk about it. So this follows our character, Avi, I think is how you pronounce her name. She is someone who is a gymnastics TikToker type of thing, something along those lines, and her sister tells her in the beginning of the novel that she does nothing in her life, she doesn't take no risks, nothing like that, and she's obsessed with Survivor, and so she decides she's going to take the risk and go on Survivor. She fills out the form, she does the whole 9 yards, you know what I'm talking about, and once she gets done doing all of those things, and they accept her, they call her in, she tells her family and stuff. She learns some pretty harsh family things, and then she is shipped off. She is told at this interview process that it's actually a spin-off, that they've never tried before, and that it's going to be a bit different. The different part here is that they are in pairs now, instead of divided up into groups. There's a total of 10 people on this island, which I feel like is a pretty good number. I think it's normally like 16 for Survivor. That's a pretty good number for like trying to develop characters in a book. And some of these characters you don't get developed at all, to be fair. But there's 10 characters and they're attached to the hip by a rope, but that they cannot leave, and there's like rules and stuff. And so I'm in the midst of the game, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, it is very Survivor-esque, competitions and stuff, and I'm not completely sold on if she's like really realizing the competitions or not, but I'm still very much enjoying it. So I will update you when I finish it with my final rating. Hello, let's close out this 5-star prediction vlog for Attached to the Hip. So Attached to the Hip, it became not as romantic as I had thought, by the way. Oh, there's some surprises, little twists and turns in there, especially towards the third act. There's a moment in the book where I was like, ooh, is this a switch up? And I was like, oh, you planted the seeds real nice. Because I'm not gonna lie, there is a part in the beginning of the novel where I started to question what the intentions were. Why are we doing this so suddenly, is all I'll say. And I feel like the payoff is pretty good for it. Payoff overall, I felt was pretty good. I felt like the characters really weighed out, and I feel like Avi as a character is a dynamic character, and more dynamic than most. I will have to say that, not trying to pick apart her or put anything else, I feel like she's very her own, and I think that's something Christine has slowly gotten better with. I mean, it's not Pilot, that's the love interest. I cannot think of her name. Again, but better, I absolutely love them. Now, I do think Jamie and Cersei do feel like very original characters inside Better Together. They feel more original, I guess, than this. And I don't know if that's because I just know how much Christine loves Survivor. So let's talk about the concept of the book, since I've seen the whole thing play out. And that was like my biggest thing. Like, if it's done well, then great. I think there's 2 instances where it kind of jumped the shark a little, where I was like, that's unbelievable. I'm not saying that the ratings for a show can't be as high as this show makes it out to be. There's some parts towards the end where I was like, I don't really think that would happen. Maybe it would. I mean, we do see juggernauts pop out of nowhere, and it is a Survivor spinoff, so like it does have some built-in fan base and things like that, so I don't know. But I felt like some of the twists and turns for the third act, outside of the YA ending, is all I'll say, I really enjoyed. I also enjoyed a lot of the challenges and things. I will have to say, in my opinion, and it could be different when you physically read it, I don't know, I did not enjoy the challenges as much. I feel like they weren't described as well as I was hoping in things, and I don't even know if that's possible. I understood exactly what they're doing. I understood everybody's like movements and things like that. I don't know. I also felt like, because I've seen so many episodes of Survivor myself, I feel like she had so many choices to choose from, and I didn't necessarily agree with every choice that was made for a challenge. I feel like some of them are really creative, and I felt like some of them are really basic and really dumb. I was like, if this is a new spin on Survivor, I feel like they would be trying harder to make sure they do build in a fan base, and you want to go crazier, you want to go more wild, you want to make it unique and different, and it is unique and different because they are attached to a rope, you know what I mean? There's some really funny moments, and I feel like the dynamics between the characters, which is always amazing, are great. I did laugh out loud, I did, oh my god, like twice, so it hit all the marks. But to be fair, I feel like it's a solid 4. It is not a 5. 2 books into this little thing, not a 5 yet. I read so many other books that should have been on this list, I'm just saying. I don't think I would have taken this one out though. I'm happy I got to talk to you about it. I'm happy that we got to discuss it. But it is a 4-star. Now, I will not lie, I think I'm posting this one first, so it's probably going to be a shorter video, is my best guess. I'm going to jump into slight spoilers, just because I do want to continue this conversation to make this video a little bit longer, deep dive a little deeper into this story. Okay, once again, we are in full spoilery territory. If you enjoyed this video, do all the fun stuff. If you read the book, or you don't care, or whatever, you want to know more information about this idea, I don't think I'm going to spoil who wins, but I'm going to spoil some stuff in the third act, and we're going to talk about Avi's naivete and that type of thing, which is pretty evident from the beginning of the book, but it's just more and more evident as the book continues onward, and I'm just like really paint that picture for you. But I also understand that maybe you want spoilers whatsoever. Go ahead and click off. So Avi as a character is a really interesting one. She is presented to us as non-dependent, super dependent, I think is what the word is, right? Where she is dependent on everything. She is dependent on what her mother reads. She's dependent on her sister for her job, and she basically just decided to kind of run into this. Well, one of the big bombshell reveals in the beginning is that her dad is an alcoholic and a gambler and has lost the business and done all this other stuff, and so like it adds an extra stake, a good stake. I feel like Avi is very naive because she hasn't really played in the real world. She's had the same boyfriend for 10 years. I feel like Christine did an excellent job, in my opinion, on painting her as this person, and so when she does stupid shit, because she surely does, I think it really makes a lot of sense. Like, I feel like most authors, when put in a position like this or in a situation like this, I'm not gonna lie, I do like me a reality competition book. I've read quite a few. Some of them are wacky, some of them are not, some of them are cute rom-coms. But Christine also makes sure that we understand that Avi is very talented and Avi can get through these challenges, and she is like the winner of the first challenge and like all this other stuff, right? And see, I don't want to break a lot of that stuff down. I do think she's a bit too trusting too soon. To be fair, I read 2 seconds of the synopsis and said sure, but I was under the impression that this was a love story between her and Remy, and it is kind of a love story between her and Remy, but it's not a full love story. And I do like how like Christine kind of compartmentalizes that in the third act. She says a lot of stupid shit with Remy. She's a bit too close to Remy at the beginning, but also like I think that was almost Christine's way of like talking about insta-love trope and doing things like that. And maybe I'm thinking too much into it. I don't know, but I know how much she's a part of our world, our book world. My first thought was, oh my god, they're falling in love like 2 pages in. What the fuck is going on? Also, this girl is kissing this guy 3 days after knowing him. I mean, she knew him beforehand, but she's kissing this guy, and she just broke up with her boyfriend. Now, sure, it's a boyfriend of 10 years that she was kind of like socially dating. Okay, and I get that. And there was like a huge disconnect. Like, think Rory Gilmore in the spin-off they did for Netflix, where she's kind of dragging that guy along and being like, oh my god, I meant to break up with you, but I didn't. Haha, it's so funny.
Oh crap, I forgot about Paul.
That's kind of the same vibe we're having with Miles here. And I don't know, it was just kind of like, oh, and I like the idea because the whole time I was like, oh, I don't really know she has chemistry with this other person, and she has immaculate chemistry with this other person. And I like the slowness of the romance. A little negative. I don't love how she overheard the fact. I don't know what happens. I don't know if there's a tidal wave or whatever. It's like a monsoon or something happens on the island for Fiji if they would bring everybody inside a resort. I really don't know. And to be fair, maybe I'd believe this better if I did know a bit more behind the scenes of Survivor and how that shit worked. Obviously, I know they get toothpaste and things, and so every camp gets like this selection of things, and they did try to make it a bit different Survivor, so maybe that's the reason why. But aspects of that, I don't know if it was super well researched and I'm just dumb, or if it's not well researched and I'm smarter than I think. And so it was a bit of a disconnect and a bit of a ooh. And then the way she finds out information towards the third act, the miscommunication part of it, is all I'll say. Or the over communication part of it is all I'll say. I also felt it was like a bit cliche and a bit overdone. I feel like it could have been done more organically and a bit better in the story. Like, I almost think that the part of that story was progressed just so we could get to that point and things, but I'm not, who knows? Like, who the fuck knows? It was a 4 out of 5. I'd still recommend. Now we're jumping through Jacob in July. This is during the time that I moved. That was crazy. That being said, let's talk about I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. Truly had no clue what this one was about. Let's go see what my reaction was to it. I'm starting I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. A bit of a check-in. Much later on in the evening, and I've now read 50% of... So I think I probably read like 10% of this. And then, it kind of like... it evolved. So the first 20% has a bit of a twist that I didn't really see coming. I don't know how much I like it. I don't know how much it's affecting like my reading experience while going through it and things, but I'm liking the writing so far, which is unshocking because I love Stephen Graham Jones' writing. I'm enjoying some of the character stuff. Do I think it's a 5? I don't know yet, but I'm really enjoying a lot of aspects of it. Essentially, what we're doing is I did not give it a 5. I gave it a 3.75 overall. The story is a bit on the convoluted side of things, which is fine. I just don't really know if I love the entire execution of it, I think, is the issue. The long-running issue I had with it, because there are aspects of the story that I really, really enjoyed. I think there's parts of it that Stephen Graham Jones did a phenomenal job working with and doing, and was really, really well done. But there's also other aspects of the story that I felt were really lackluster and not as memorable, in my opinion. So it's such a mixed bag for me personally, because I want the story, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It was very gory, kills were great, and it was really fun to see it from the perspective of the killer instead of vice versa from this perspective of the final girl. But I couldn't help but start comparing it to My Heart is a Chainsaw or The Last Final Girl, which I didn't really care for either. And I really loved the entire Indian Lake trilogy. And I can't tell you what the difference here was. Maybe it's because I really loved those and I knew what else this author could do with this genre, and I was somewhat disappointed with the one that he gave me. Also, once again, I do think the Heavy Rhyme, the opening, is such a big catastrophic moment. I can't explain in this video because of spoilers, but it's such a big moment and it changes the entire thing. I don't think I ever once really dived into the story past that point because I wanted to be there. I wanted to celebrate for these characters, and I wanted to see where the story was going, but it almost felt like it was supposed to be part of a different novel and add into this one, if that makes any sense. So I'm really not entirely sure how I truly... Also, I want to quickly come in here and talk a little bit of spoilers. The book has come out. It's been out for... Actually, I don't know when this video is going up, so who knows how long. Essentially, like, the opening where the kid comes back to life for revenge, and that's how he becomes a slasher. I don't love the origin story. And that's really where the story itself kind of started taking a tin plate. Also, the breakdown, I mean, every slasher has a character who knows so much about the genre. And it's fun. But it's normally not the best friend of the main character. It's normally like a side character who's like there, but it's not like fully there. And having Amber be the final girl and this person who knows so much about this genre, it almost, I think, undercuts her, in my opinion, as the final girl. Because I felt like there's a lot of stakes and stuff that was taken away from it. But I felt like she should have saw it coming. So I feel like there's maybe a bit too much on her shoulders, I guess. That's my review of this book. It was a 3.75, like I said. I would recommend. I had a good time with it, and I would casually recommend it to a lot of different people. The next one we're going to talk about is The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This is Casey McQuiston's newest release. This is their 4th book? Yes, their 4th release. Love them to death. Let's go ahead and see what Jacob on a Different Day felt about it as well. I started The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. It's about 2 friends named Kit and something. It starts with a T. Theo. Kit and Theo. The main character being Theo. Most of the POV has been through their perspective, and they were best friends for a very long time, and they joined as romance partners, and then they broke up, and now they met again on this trip that they were supposed to go on so many years ago, and they have this bet to see how many people who can sleep with them much over this like European vacation type of thing. And that is like what the premise of what it's about and things. And yeah, I'm like 20% into it, so I'll update you when I'm further. I don't know when I'll update you next, but I'll come back. I'm not sure how much I like it so far. I'm not blown away by it, so we'll be particular. But as a 5-star prediction, because I do love Casey's writing, I think they're a beautiful author. So yeah, okay. I did read the first half of The Pairing, and for the most part, I really like it. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. I think there's a lot of elements to it that are working. The writing is just so good, to the point where I feel like it could be a 5-star just because of the writing alone. Theo, as a character, just hasn't made a long-lasting, strong impression on me, and neither has Kit. And I don't really know if the idea of them gallivanting around and sleeping with other people and then realizing they love each other type of thing, which was the kind of pitch, is really being fully explored, in my opinion. I think it could be done a bit better. Honestly, I think it could be done a bit better. This is pretty much a true romance between these 2 people, and they're just like really lusting and longing for one another for pages and pages and pages, and then they'll have encounters, and like, I don't know, I'm halfway through and we just got our first like real sex scene, and I was expecting this to be way more like hornier and things. I mean, it's horny, don't get me wrong, it's very horny. I just expected it to be hornier. But yeah, either way, that's my update. I'll update you when I finish it. If I have any spoilers to talk about, we'll talk about them. The update is quite simple. The Pairing is a 5-star. I have no spoilers for the simple fact that I never finished this video, apparently. I never finished this vlog. So yeah, it's a 5-star. I absolutely love this book. One of my favorites of the year. Okay, and then lastly, we have The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Schaefer. This is the book I just recently read, and to be able to close out this vlog. So let's go ahead and jump into it, Jacob. Not that far ago, telling you all about it. In Between Us or something, I'm gonna put it on the screen. The sequel to Darkness Outside of Us, one of my favorite books of all time. So obviously, the sequel is a 5-star prediction. I'm about 35-ish% into it, and I figured this is the perfect time to update you guys on it. I will once again mention that there are massive spoilers for the first book in this video, so if you've never read the first one, obviously I highly recommend it. It was my favorite book of the year in 2022. I want to say it was 2022 when it was my favorite book of the year, just a few years ago. I really enjoyed Elliot Schaefer's last pick. He was also on my 5-star prediction. So let's go ahead and let's chat a little bit. Darkness Outside, or The Brightness Between Us, or something along those lines, has so far 2 plot points, 2 different. I don't want to give too much away because, you know, it's part of the brilliance of these novels and how they're constructed is the way that they can build off of one plot twist to another. Bare minimum, we are following Ambrose, and I can't ever think of his name. I love him so much, though. And we're following their children, Minerva, and then also one of their other children. I can't remember what his name is either, as it's been like 18 years since the ending of the last book. The girl, Minerva, who we are following, their daughter, is the only one who can produce children, and so that's, I think, why that she got chose to be the main character. The brother seems to have a lot of interesting things going on as well, as he reached his 16th birthday, and things are starting to go awry. However, she is a very big explorer type. She wants to go find the danger. She wants to go hunt for things. And she's realizing that Ambrose and Kodiak are basically doing the same thing that it seemed like that was done to them when they were younger, keeping big secrets from this world from them over and over again, and it's driving a wedge between the family for a lot of different reasons. I would say their reasonings are better than parent reasons. And then, I won't tell you how first part ends, but then with part 2, which I guess like 25% into the novels when part 2 begins, we actually jump backwards in time before the actual ship even takes off. And we're following Ambrose way back when, learning a bunch of our knowledge, which is really interesting. It's really intriguing. I don't really know what I wanted from the sequel, so I can't even say it's not what I wanted, because I don't know what I wanted. I guess I was expecting it to pick up somewhere in between the time where we last left off and following the characters. It's doing something, and I'm really intrigued by it. I hope that you guys are probably about 50% into it. Currently speaking, it's not a 5, but I would love to be pleasantly surprised, is the moral of the story. Hello, 5-star prediction vlog for the dark outside of us, or the bright between us. The brightness between us. I did finish it. I know I was supposed to do another check-in about halfway through the book. And to be honest with you, I didn't. It's not because I didn't have time to do it. I will have to say this is one of those books that took me a ridiculous amount of time to read. It was like 10 days or whatever I spent on it, which is really, really long, especially for a book that I was so like excited about. And I think that's part of the reason why, that I wanted to love it more than what it could give me. I do wonder if when I do a reread of it, which I plan on rereading it in December, so just like over a month from now, I plan on rereading it just to figure out if it truly is a 3.25, which is what I landed on. I think I landed on 3.25. I landed on a 3 something. I'll put the official rating on the screen. I have to wonder, and those are the 2 main storylines, so we're juggling both those storylines, and both of them equally didn't do anything that I wanted to do, so I was equally disappointed with both. One, I didn't necessarily want the storyline beforehand. I understood the whole point of it, and I understood why it was there and why the author decided that this is the route we should go in. But I think this is one of those books where I'm just gonna be straight with you. I don't think it needed a sequel. I don't think I wanted a sequel, and I don't think the sequel delivered. The sequel did not. It wasn't like one of those books where I was like, yep, didn't know I needed it. I'm so happy I have it. This is really one of those books and I still think on reread, I'm going to have a little bit more appreciation for it on reread. I do feel that. But I still do strongly believe that it's still not going to be a book that I'm like, yep, pick up that sequel. Pick it up. I'm probably going to own both of them for, stake value or whatever, because The Darkness Outside of Us is still one of my favorite books of all time. And it's nice to see these characters as they progress. I love the bubble that I put them in. I love the ending that they got with the first one. So it just really wasn't for me. This book was just not for me. The whole time it wasn't for me. And that's really hard for me as someone who wants to love this book and who wants to love everything about it and support it and tell you to go read it. For like, it's like tenfold. Okay, for one, I want the author to write more because I love the writing. The writing didn't change here. It's just simply I didn't care for any part of the story. Like, I just want to champion like a series that I should love. It's just I don't. I don't love it as much as I was hoping. And that's what the answer is. So that being said, we're going to jump to a different Jacob on a different day doing an outro for all 5 of these books. And then we'll close out this vlog. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Alright, as you guys can see, and maybe I had to come in and update you guys for the last one. I really don't remember if I finished out that video. The only book that ended up being a 5-star was Casey McQuestion. This solidifies, by the way, her being an all-time favorite, them being an all-time favorite author, which is fucking amazing. I love that for them. But every other book did not. Going in the order of least to like best to least likely, type of thing. We have Casey McQuestion coming on top with a pairing with a 5-star. Right below them was Attached to the Hip, a 4-star by Christina Rico. We have 2 in the tie for 3.75, which is the reappearance of Rachel Price. Now is a teenage slasher. These are nothing alike, but I did kind of feel about the same about both. Then at the very bottom is The Brightness Between Us, and I feel like if this was not a sequel to one of my favorite books of all time, and I was in a better headspace when I read it, and I had a better understanding what the actual point of this was, I feel like I would have enjoyed it better. But in reality, I did not really enjoy it. I do plan on reading it again in December with a whole new fresh mind, and hopefully will walk away from it thinking it's absolutely fucking beautiful. That being said, this is a very different way of doing this type of video. Next year, I hope to get back into the grand scheme of things. Now, you might be asking, okay, Jacob, what's the plan? You know, what's the plan, right? You did this. You chose authors that you thought would give you a 5-star based on previous recommendations or previous readings. Even if you didn't love every book that they've ever written, you still had an idea. For one, I've not even looked into a 25 and 25. I tend to do that in December because I've learned too late in that regard. So we'll see what 25 and 25 looks like. But also, I will be picking 5 books again and doing this all over again. This is what will happen. My plan is, though, is that I'm going to be particular about the month that they come out in and not the book itself, which is a little different, a little fun, a little challenge. Because the problem with these is that I had a lot of time in the beginning of the year to be able to film, edit, and post these videos. But in reality, I waited and I started to film them and the book started to come out during the time period where I got super busy in life. No fault to them whatsoever, none at all. But still honest truth, like if we're being completely honest here, still a problem. So I'm hoping to spread them out over the course of the entire year. So when I announce my 5-star predictions, I might have a few on there that might not even be able to make a vlog because they might be placeholder 5-star predictions for later on in the year. So we'll wait and see. That being said though, let me know what guys' thoughts are. Did you guys have any 5-star predictions this year? Are they all out? Are there still a few coming? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll talk to you all next time. Thanks for watching and goodbye.